Hello, this is the lecture over the MLA format and Works Cited page. Previously in another lecture I mentioned that you should be able to find all your information about the MLA format for a research paper and for citations in the OWL Online Writing Lab website for Purdue University. Now, if you look at the side of the page when you go there, you'll notice there is on the left side a list of links as to the MLA format, how to do in-text citations, how to do works cited page citations. The one thing you need to know is I'm not testing you over specific MLA standards, but the way I'm going to see if you know how to do a proper format is through your research paper. So you don't have to memorize anything from MLA, but you should have to get onto a website or a style guide and be able to read and interpret what you need and apply it to your paper. Now, having said that, you need to know that any source that you use in your paper has to be cited twice. Once in the text, and those are called in-text citations, and you'll find a link to that. And one is in the Works Cited page, which is where you give a larger bibliographic entry. You'll find the format for that on the left side as well on the Works Cited links on the OWL. There's also a Works Cited example page which you can look at and gauge how the Works Cited example page looks against yours and see if there's something that's glaring that you need to pay attention to in terms of page format, in terms of the way it looks, the way the indentations are covered or used. Some common questions for the Works Cited page is that it does not count towards your word count. So for example, if you have a word count of 1,200 words in your research paper and 500 in your Works Cited, that 500 does not count towards the word count. It does not count towards the requirement of 1,200 words. Next thing is you need to realize that, like I said, that any source has to be cited that you use outside the paper. When I talk about citation and when I talk about sources, I mean anything that's not your original writing. So if you pull a statistic, a number, a fact, anything that's not generally known from another source and use it in your paper, you have to cite it. And you have to put an entry in the Works Cited paper. It does not have to be a quote for you to cite it. Another citation of sources is, of course, the quote. If you directly quote something from another source, you have to cite it. And I think we're all fairly familiar with that one. But one that students often miss is the paraphrase. If you are paraphrasing a quote from another source, you're taking information from another source and putting it in your own words, that information is still something you have to cite, okay? So just because you put it in your own words does not make it your work. You still have to say where you got it. In terms of what sort of sources are available and what can you cite, any source that you can use in a paper, there is a citation form for it. There's a whole list of forms on that OWL site that you should reference. So if you have a book with one author, there's a citation format for that, and there's a way you're supposed to do in-text citations. You can find, again, examples of on that website. If you have an encyclopedia entry, if you have an unpublished interview that you yourself conducted, if you have a commercial that you're going to quote, anything outside source, there's actually, and I'm not even kidding here, a Works Cited format and an in-text citation format for that. Now, you can use Citation Machine or EasyBib in order to do your Works Cited format entries or Works Cited page entries. That's fine with me as long as you use MLA format. I'm fine with that. Just be aware that sometimes those generators, easybib.com or citationmachine.com, those generators sometimes get it wrong, or sometimes you don't put in all the information, and it'll generate an incorrect works cited page entry. You will still be held accountable for those mistakes. Okay? So if you get an entry on your works cited incorrect because the citation machine gave you the wrong entry or the wrong format, that's still going to be deducted from your score. Okay? So just be aware that if you place your trust in those generators, you're staking your grade on it, or part of your grade on it. Now, as always, you can ask me questions over whether or not a citation's correct, or what you should put in your in-text citations. But again, I want you to look at the OWL and take a look at the different types of in-text citations and the works cited page. Now, I put a link at the end of the last video directing you to the OWL, and on this video at the end, I'll put another link there so that you can copy it and go there to check it out yourself.